Hello, summer camp teachers. Okay, so I just wanted to offer just a little bit of conversation about the very first week of community. So, in the community folder, you'll notice that there's an attachment of anchor charts. I just gave you an example of what that may look like when you're setting that up with children. The strategy charts, if you feel more comfortable filling out the strategy charts like the plot versus theme ahead of time, I think that's okay. But just remember to orient the students to that chart for the first time, like read it together for the first time and give them the talk behind how it's set up. And I think that's important. Like you're learning the chart together for the first time. But I think the charts, like the community agreements, the independent reading nooks, the partner reading, those truly need to come from the kids' language. Um, I gave you some ideas, some anticipation ideas that just came from what I had up in my room from my fourth graders this past year. I've used this with first grader through fifth graders. It works well. It really is simple, yet it's very significant. And it's something you can simply go back to over each week. You're going to have kids coming and going. You know, that's the reality of summer camp. And you can constantly ground them back into those procedures very quickly, very easily. Um, the other thing I wanted to share with you is that each week I'm accessing Mayan. Now, when I access Mayan, I'm using it as an interactive read aloud. Now, when the kids go to their Mayan stations, you'll notice there's an attachment for inquiry stations. I found this works very well with our summer camp students. They're working on building stamina, and so you have, which is I think the greatest gift that we can give kids during summer camp time is the opportunity to do more one on one and more small group instruction. So, when you're working in small groups, having something meaningful that they can go to, they're still independent, but they have a little bit of that movement. It helps them keep their stamina. So, inquiry stations work well. So, if you can have a couple, make sure a couple of the computers that are in your room are working. Maybe ask to, if you can, to have a couple of laptops. I did that at my site last year and it worked well. I could have four stations. But just be flexible with what you have available at your site. I mean, it's different every year I've gone somewhere. Um, but I made inquiry stations where you can just print it and post it. And then the students can have a section in the reading journal for inquiry stations. And when they show up there, they can set it up. If you think, based on your students, it would save more time and less frustration on their part if you just had a copy of it. I think that would work well too. You could always push pin it up in a Ziploc bag and have extra copies behind it, and the kids can just pull it out. Um, but the inquiry stations each week help build a rolling knowledge on the topic and the theme. So we know that this helps our students because our students that are in summer camp often lack a lot of vocabulary, um, and that impacts their comprehension. They also lack background knowledge. So increasing more books that they're reading that's related to the theme and to the topic is going to help their own talk. It's going to help them contribute more into your discussions as you go throughout the week. It's going to help them make more meaningful connections, and they start to feel more successful. So you'll notice that with the inquiry stations. Another piece that I thought would be good to add, that could be a good morning warm up. Sometimes with summer camp, you have kids that will come in a little late. Um, every site does it a little different. I've been at sites where you just go to your room and they send them from breakfast to your room. So you need to have something on the board for those kids that are just dropped off at your room or the kids who are in the cafeteria. Sometimes you have to go to the cafeteria, get them and bring them back. And then you need a few minutes to take your attendance and check in perhaps with each student. So having a morning warm up would be nice. So, article a day, there's a lot of research behind that. I think ReadWorks does a nice job with their article a day. It's informational articles. And what I did is I connected the PDFs of article a day that goes along with the theme that we're studying. So you could bring the article a day into any time of your summer camp day. Morning could be, it could be something that you're doing just before you go to lunch or just after lunch. Maybe they come in from recess, they're getting water. back and forth, that could be a time when they're doing it. And I gave a little in the overview, the summer camp overview, I gave you just a little bit of information of some ideas of how you might do that. Um, I think as long as they're reading it, enjoying it, having some conversation about it, it's benefiting them. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention to you is I have some notes about how I plan to use Mayan. Now, when my students go to the computers for inquiry stations on Mayan, I really prefer them reading it by themselves. I want them to turn the volume off. I don't mind if it's highlighted to help them track, but I want them reading it. Now, I do know I don't know those students yet, and it's very possible I'll have students that are reading at a first grade level, and it would be unfair to expect them to read some of those Mayan books. And I want them to benefit from building the background knowledge, so that might be an accommodation I need to make. So I would say to be very intentional with the Mayan piece. When I do Mayan as the interactive read aloud, I'm going to play my group a little bit. I'm going to see perhaps maybe I read a page spread and maybe let Mayan read a page spread. Or maybe I'll just read it for one whole book, and maybe the next book I'll let Mayan read it. Um, but I do think it's important during interactive read aloud when you get to one page spread that you have partner pairs owning it. Remember, when partner pairs are owning a page, that's an important time for you to be leaning in and listening. How are they doing with their thinking amongst partners? Make sure, especially in those first few weeks as you're getting to know them, that you're jotting down the sentence STEM students are using to show their thinking and really celebrating how they're using their words to express to others how they're thinking about text and how they're sharing their ideas. I think the most powerful language stems that we can use with students are the ones that come from them. And so you'll notice I share some conversation with you about that as well. Anything that you co-create with students then becomes an opportunity for choral reading. And many of our students need confidence built. Many of our students crave, especially our students in summer camp, crave opportunities for echo reading and choral reading. It builds confidence. And perhaps they've been in situations this past year where that teacher was being very intentional and trying to, make them get that strong set of survivor skills and really stick to it through that complex text. And this is a great opportunity for us to help build that fluency and build that confidence. So, why not, through some of your anchor charts, when you're revisiting them each day, why not do it as an echo read or a choral read? Um, why not have a student come up and take the lead on the chart? Let's have our students take the lead in reading over this summer and build that confidence for them so that they go into their classroom next year, whether it's third grade or fourth grade, feeling like they are ready to do this.